They invited her to the reunion with a line in the email that read, "Come show us who you've become." They thought it would be a joke, a live punchline. They planned to make her the laughingstock one more time. What they didn't know was that the girl they used to call the ugly duckling had built a life they couldn't imagine, and she was walking in to tell them quietly and very clearly that their story about her was over. My name is Alex Monroe, and I'm going to tell you a story about being underestimated, about what happens when the people who told you you were nothing get a surprise they never saw coming. It's not a puff piece about instant revenge, and it's not some Hollywood makeover montage. It's slow work. It's small decisions stacked over years. And yes, there's a moment in a hotel ballroom where everything flips. But before we get there, you have to see where she started. Act 1. The setup. Back when our protagonist, we'll call her Naomi Reed, was 14, she stepped out of her mom's beat-up Civic and into Brighton Prep for the first day of freshman year. The school parking lot looked like a luxury car catalog. Audis, a couple BMWs, parents who wore membership pins. Naomi wore a uniform her mother bought used 2 sizes too big. Her skin was dark deeper than the kids around her, and she had cystic acne that no drugstore cream could touch. She had no dermatologist, no fancy cleanser, just a mother who worked 3 shifts to pay tuition because she believed education might buy Naomi a different life. The first rule Naomi learned that day was simple: make yourself small. Bend your head, take the back row, be as invisible as you can. Some people do it to be polite. Naomi did it because it was survival. But even being small didn't stop certain kids from noticing her, and not in a kind way. There was Claire Whitman. Blonde hair, perfect nails, a laugh like a phone ringtone, who loved to announce her judgments from the front row. "Oh my God, she's so dark," Claire whispered the first week loud enough for Naomi to feel it like a sting. Her friends laughed like she was telling a joke. Naomi smiled and kept her head down. You can imagine the cafeteria scene, the one that normally only exists in nightmares. Naomi sitting alone with a sandwich from home, trying not to take up too much space, and Claire and her crew striding by with their designer bottles. Claire stops, shakes a chocolate milk over Naomi's head, and whispers, "Now you match," while 100 phones lift, and the juicy sound of laughter fills the room. Someone recorded it. Someone posted it. The internet did the rest. A Facebook group popped up calling her the ugliest in school, the top-voted joke with hundreds of comments. The administration shrugged, kids will be kids, and suggested Naomi try to fit in more, fit in how change the color of her skin. By senior year, they organized a poll, Brighton's most unattractive, and Naomi won with 89%. She kept every hateful screenshot, everything stored in a folder she labeled evidence. Not because she wanted revenge, she would later say, but because she knew someday someone would need to see what they tried to erase. Act 2. The work. Naomi didn't explode overnight. She left, Brighton, went to a state university, changed her number, deleted socials, and started again with one quiet promise: not to be the same scared kid anymore. In college, she met Jana, a roommate with an honest grin and a brutal love for truth. Jana dragged Naomi to student health, made calls to a dermatologist, and said, like someone handing you the first pair of glasses that actually work, you don't have to live with this. Accutane. Braces. A trainer who taught her to eat for strength, not punishment. Library shifts. Bookstore hours. Babysitting weekends. She worked 3 jobs to pay for the things that changed her face and healed her body. It was humbling. It was painful, but it was steady. Over 5 years, her skin healed, her teeth straightened, and the weight she carried, the real one, the shame-shaped one, started to go away as she learned to lift, to breathe, to let her body be hers. One weird lucky Tuesday, a local photographer asked her for a casual shoot. He posted a few images online, no big deal, and a modeling scout from the next city noticed. That led to a contract, a few shows, and a slow climb, regional runways, an editorial, then a name on a bigger booking list. She started a small beauty tech startup geared toward personalized skincare, a scrappy code and chemistry kind of thing that got a tiny seed round, then another. People who had once mocked the texture of her skin now wanted her advice on ingredients. The girl who had eaten lunch in a bathroom stall walked through offices in Manhattan and pitch meetings in San Francisco, and she kept the folder. Always the folder. Act 2. The turn. Years later, Naomi got an email about the 10-year reunion. The subject line, Brighton Prep. Come show us who you've become. She deleted it, then dug it out of the trash, then left it in her inbox for 3 whole days like a stone at the bottom of a pond. The organizer was Claire. Same last name, a familiar bite to the wording. Naomi called Mika, a friend from school who had never joined Claire's crew but had stayed quiet when things happened. Mika had become a local reporter. She told Naomi she had seen the reunion planning messages. Claire and a group were actually plotting to surprise Naomi. Pull photos, arrange a slideshow film, Naomi's reaction for laughs. And here's the crucial change Naomi didn't see a trap. She saw clarity. They expected a scared kid to walk in and cry. They wanted a punchline. Naomi decided to be the plot twist. She didn't plan to humiliate them. She planned to show up as someone who already lived beyond their definitions. She arranged for Mika to come with credentials, and press access had a friend at a production company ready to archive everything, and she wore a simple black dress. Not an armor, not a billboard, just something that fit the woman she'd become. Act 3. The confrontation. When Naomi walked into the ballroom that night, conversation stopped the way a curtain falls. People saw a stranger at the door, someone who looked like she'd stepped out of a magazine, and assumed she was a +1 for some alumni. Claire noticed last clinging to her slideshow USB like it might turn to a sword. Naomi walked to the bar, asked for a glass of champagne, and the room orbited her like a silent planet. Claire approached with that practiced reunion smile, offered her hand. "Hi, I'm Claire, reunion organizer. Are you someone's guest?" The kind of line meant to put people back in their place. Naomi let the silence stretch, then said calmly, "It's me, Naomi Reed." The name hit like a bell. Phones came out. People typed, Naomi Reed Brighton. And there it was, the before and the after side by side, and the collective intake of breath when a group realizes for the first time that their punchline has teeth. Brad, the boy who had stood her up at the fake prom, tried to laugh it off. "We were kids," he said. Naomi looked at him, soft but precise. "You posted my photo. 47 copies in the hall. Where'd you hide behind? Which one was your courage?" He stumbled off. Claire tried the institutional move. "Let's move past it." But Naomi met it exact and true. "You don't remember because you were never the one looking at the scars. I do. I kept them for a reason." People streamed toward her, some apologizing, some gaping, some angling for a selfie. Mika filmed. A clip, just 30 seconds of Naomi's name being said and a glass dropping, got uploaded and went viral within hours. For the first day, it felt like catharsis. Naomi smiled, took the moment, and left before being reduced to another spectacle. She had given them what they deserved, exposure, and in return they'd given her a platform. Aftermath. Not the end, just a start. But of course it didn't stop there. Claire tried to spin a counter-narrative. Insinuations that Naomi's transformation was bought, that she had surgical help, that success equals privilege. And those rumors sparked a swarm of anonymous accounts eager to tear holes in Naomi's life. That part is ugly and very real. When you rise, some people will try to discredit the climb rather than ask whether the climb was fair. Naomi and Mika, however, had kept receipts. IP logs, messages, the reunion group's chat where Claire had cheerfully plotted the surprise. What followed was a slow, exhausting unspooling. Local reporters talking to other victims, documentation of ignored complaints, calls to the school board, and an open letter demanding accountability from Brighton Prep. The school, which had brushed off Naomi's reports years ago, now had to reckon with dozens of alumni and parents asking why complaints had been mishandled. There were consequences, not a perfect purge of justice because life rarely gives you a tidy ending. Claire faced professional fallout. The school instigated policy reviews. Naomi launched a scholarship fund for students who'd been bullied at private schools, and emails showed that the pattern of turning a blind eye had more to do with money and comfort than with kids being kids. But the most important thing wasn't the fallout. It was the young girls, the kids hiding in bathrooms right now, who saw Naomi's name in a headline and felt a little less alone. The close. Something to argue about. So, what should you take from this? Is it right that Naomi used the reunion to expose her bullies? Some will say she weaponized their cruelty by turning it into content. And maybe they're partly right. Others will say it's justice served, that people who set out to humiliate deserve to be seen. Both arguments are worth a debate, and that's the point. This story isn't tidy because human harm never is. If you're listening, and you ever wondered if the kid they laughed at could come back and win, the answer is yes, sometimes they do. But it takes work, allies, money, luck, and an ugly, persistent refusal to let the story end where it began. It also takes other people willing to tell the truth. The quiet witness who finally says, "I remember," the friend who records the reporter who follows the dots. All right, now your turn. Was Naomi right to show up? Did the reunion become a platform or a trap? Do institutions have a moral duty to act when kids are hurt, or is this on families alone? Drop a comment. Tell me if you think she crossed a line or if the line was crossed long before she walked into that ballroom. Share your experience if you've been on either side. And if this story mattered to you, subscribe and pass it on. Because maybe the next kid seeing this will choose a different ending.